This was not the worst roast of all time, but I certainly don't think it was the best either. And my question for today is, are fat jokes funny? I don't think they are. I don't want to be overly sensitive, but I just don't think that weight jokes are funny. And on that note, don't make weight jokes in this comment section, especially not at me. Last week I booted somebody out of this channel for making a weight joke specifically at myself, and I did not appreciate that, and I booped that person the out of here. Hi, hello everybody, welcome in. My name is Jer, and we are talking about episode 10 of season 17 of RuPaul's Drag Race, The Villains Roast. If you are not subscribed, please make sure to do so. We are inching closer and closer and closer to my subscriber goal of 1,000. We are literally less than like 200, and it would be so meaningful to me if you would subscribe. YouTube tells me that something like 4,000 people are coming back to watch my content, and if all of y'all subbed, it would help me exponentially. You don't even know. I do have a new membership open for anybody who's interested in supporting the channel in that way. All of my videos that I have pre-queued and will be queuing will be available a day sooner to those members and everybody else who is watching before those become public. So if you're interested, please feel free to check that out. Last thing, I have a weekly Drag Race podcast where we are going through every season, including international ones. We are going to be answering viewer questions going forward, so keep an eye on my posts because I will be making those near the top of the week where y'all can ask your questions about the season that we're on, and maybe we will answer those at the end of the podcast when those air. And that's all I had to say, so let's dive in. Corey is officially out, just as I kind of expected. We have had so many episodes in the past where someone goes home the week before the challenge that they would have slayed. It is so crazily ironically funny that Corey went home last week. This might be one of the most ironic eliminations of all time. Like, I thought it was bad when Veronica went home before girl groups. I thought it was bad when Marsha went home before the Rusical. But Corey going home the week before her sister is on Drag Race, 1. And 2, the week that the runway is basically hoochie shorts. Babe, wake up, new Alanis Morissette ironic line just dropped. Oh, it's not funny. And I'm really glad that Jules is finally on production radar. Even if it spiraled out of control this week, I think this sets her up for a good storyline. I have a feeling, based off of this week, that we are on a fast track towards the quirky girl Katya's, the Dela's, that classic era of Drag Race of that queen who was doing pretty good through the competition and made a strong mark, didn't break the top often, or didn't break the win often, but could have, and then ends up being the girl that's the shock out, the I can't believe that she did so bad in this challenge, and now she's got the boot and we'll never get to see her finale, you know? And this win from last week is getting to Lexi. She is cracking and cracked all week long. We saw it as a through line through the main challenge, through Untucked, into the final parts of the episode. Lexi is on this slow crickle crackle that is either going to be her downfall or is going to be the thing that projects her into a win next week. Lydia, in kind of a despicable way, thinks that Sam should have been in the bottom last week. And I posted on a couple different socials, and there were a lot of people that did not agree with my opinion that Sam's was one of the best in that entire group. And from my perspective, as I mentioned last week, the idea of the Betsy Johnson challenge was build something from this collection through your drag lens. And I think that Sam did that. Sam's looked like it came out of the collection, and I think that's what the challenge was, which is why I ranked it high. But also what a lot of people agreed with is that the judging was a little bit weird and the parameters were weird, and there was probably no actual forethought on how all those different categories were going to be looked at and evaluated to create a fair and balanced top. And isn't that what we're all looking for, is a fair and balanced top? Well, not me. Michelle introduces one of the few revenge challenges we've had throughout the series. I swear we've had a revenge challenge before. I don't remember who it was, but I feel like one of these judges did in one of the older seasons. And we get a little fake out that someone's returning to the competition, only for them to reintroduce the Dunkaho. Now, I feel like based off of the amount of episodes that are left, or theoretically left, we're probably not going to get any more extra saves or any more returns. I just don't think there's any time for that. Unless they do a double elim and then bring someone in. So this was an interesting fake out, but I didn't buy it. I've never heard of this guy that was here for Dunkaho, but why did I think he was Fred from Holland? Like, I looked at him and I was like, that's Fred. And Joey is a wonderful reminder that being gay is genetic. And some of us just have the gay face. Baby, you were born this way. And Michelle introduces that this week's main challenge is a villain's roast. It features Mistress Isabel Brooks, Candy Muse, and Plain Jane. I mentioned it last week, and I will say it again, I really feel like this roast was missing someone from the old school. I would have loved some representation of someone like Morgan. Morgan really was a low-key villain in her season. We also could have had Roxy Andrews, who definitely got a redemption from her villainy in All-Stars 2 and in All-Stars 9, but you can't read the doll. It would have been so cool to have seen her there. Because Jules won last week, she gets to assign the lineup this week. And my favorite part of all of this was Sam saying, yeah, so I don't want to go after Susie, Anya, or Lexi, but I'm okay going after Ariette, Lydia, or Lana. Like, just point at him and go, I'm not threatened by her, or her. Put me after them. They're not funny. I'll be hilarious. And there was a lot of drama that cropped up from this. And this, I think, is a result of the seasons where the girls are trying to be too congenial with each other and they're not trying to be disruptive. They're just trying to be sisters. We get these moments where all of the genuine frustration and tension that keeps being pushed down in the sake of being harmonious starts to finally bubble up and it becomes a problem. And then everyone around the room is like, how do we contain this? And Lexi and Ariette are pissed the way that it was assigned. And I have been in situations in lineups where I did not end up where I wanted to be, and I was mad. For those of you who don't know, I used to perform in drag. There is a certain energy that happens in a room when you, as a comedy performer, are put after someone who's like a dancing queen. And you know that the audience will get so excited for that dancing queen that when you come out to do your hokey pokey number, the audience is going to experience a huge energy shift and dissonance that either you're going to get them in the first 2 seconds or they're gonna yawn and not be interested because you're not death dropping and flipping and kicking and twirling your hair around like a lunatic. There is a certain energy that comes in an audience. However, this is TV. So as much as Rue and Michelle and the judges want to talk about energy shifts or what have you, probably between each one of these takes, there's someone going, cut. All right, camera reset, change batteries, get ready for Ariette. And then, you know, they get backstage because they're sitting at those little chairs there, right? All right, action, camera set up, Ariette walk. She comes out, they do the fake claps, and then they do the whole roast. Cut, next queen. So there already is an energy break that's happening on TV. And if you've ever been to a live TV recording, you know that that's the case, especially if you've ever been to a Drag Race finale recording. It is a lot of stop and go. The energy is constantly dropping to 0, reset. So there's not really a pressure to, oh, well, that girl was funny, so now I have to be funnier. Because the room is already stopping to breathe. The judges are taking notes. It is just a matter of, like what was mentioned, I think by Susie, it doesn't matter who you go after. It matters how much you let that affect you. If this were a setting of live drag where it is boom, boom, boom. All right, next up is Yvonne de Culo. And, you know, the queen is walking off the stage as the other one's coming out. That energy presence is there, right? It's not the same for TV. And Ariette this week did what Lana has been doing every single week, which is still so funny. I don't normally do this. I don't normally do that. I don't normally do this. Girl, what do you do? And Ariette's doing that thing that a lot of the girls have done in the past where they're like, I don't want to do comedy challenges anymore. I want a runway challenge. Girl, there's gotta be a balance. If you can't do comedy, why'd you come to Drag Race? You know that's a part of the assignments. Normally I don't talk about the practice time, but I did enjoy the round table-ness or the squared table-ness of this study time because it gives an opportunity for everybody to hear the jokes in the room. Because then maybe someone tells a joke and you hear it and go, I can make that funnier. So then you scribble a note down. Or you hear a joke and you've already got that and theirs is funnier, so you go, I'm not doing that one. It's a really good opportunity to make sure that your show is crisp. This is a great time to make sure that nobody is overlapping on each other. Or if you're Arietti, you steal a couple jokes to throw off your competitor. And she said karma is a bitch. And the reality is that karma is only a bitch if you are. I genuinely think that Jules was trying to help everybody and give everyone the positions that they were wanting to have. Jules did not feel comfortable in her comedy, so she put herself after her sister, who isn't very funny, who if she did bad, she wouldn't look as bad. I don't think that's a problem. And Arietti really felt like that was sabotage and she should have done that to someone else. And the room kind of chimed in, so what, we're not all sisters then? Because somebody of that group has to be the one that goes after the funny girl. Someone has to be the one that sets up Jules. And I get, well, why does it have to be me? I'm your friend. I get that. It feels a little bit like a betrayal, but also someone has to do it and everybody got what they wanted. I think that what the real tea was is what Susie said, is that it really is on how you decide to handle it. And obviously Arietti did not handle it well. This storyline is interesting though, because they set up very early that they're the Chismosa corner, that they are the friends, that they're the close ones. And so to see their friendship have this very natural lull and dull and argument kind of explosion and then make up, move on is great TV for both of their storylines, but also it does create a wrap-up place. I almost wonder if in some universe where Arietti did not decide to make up, would they have made a justification to put Lexi in the bottom so that the following week either Lexi or Arietti will be the ones that have tension and friction with Jules. Because they had their makeup point in Untucked, I wonder if that's what maybe kicked in the, all right, well, her storyline is done now. But maybe in some off universe, maybe she could have had one more week if they didn't resolve their tension in the same episode. I think about stuff like that. And on that note, Lexi is also pissed because of where she got assigned, because she got put after Susie. And there's been this underlying storyline that Lexi is getting this tension with Susie. And this week, Lexi mentioned that she's been feeling insecure all season, like she's competing only with Susie. And maybe I've missed something, and maybe I'm misremembering, but I don't particularly remember any storyline being included in the final cut of Lexi feeling intimidated by Susie. I've definitely seen moments where they seem a little bit like head bashy, but I don't remember any storylines of them being in competition with each other or Lexi even feeling like Susie is her biggest comp. Did I miss something? If y'all remember an episode where this was brought up, let me know, because I don't have this in my notes of her saying anything like this. Maybe I didn't think it was important. So I just want to mention on a TV note, this is kind of an interesting left field storyline. And normally the editors try to make everything consistent and smooth for our viewing pleasure, which leads me to believe that in the following episodes, there's no actual resolve to this. This was just something that was very one-off that they decided to keep in because it was a part of the fight. But if this does go somewhere and this is the first breadcrumb they're leaving, it is kind of weird to put this in at episode 10 when there are theoretically maybe only 4 competitive episodes left, you know? And I want to talk about the energy thing that a lot of the girls were talking about, because Sam, Anya, and Susie were really trying to hype the group back up and saying, I hope this energy doesn't shift to the main stage. And that happens in live theater and live shows all the time. I have been in situations where we needed to get on set. We needed to do our thing, and everybody backstage were fighting. They were mad at each other, they were bickering, and when they got on the stage, you could see in the back of their eyes that something was not right. They were not connecting with the line, choreography, or with something. There was definitely an energy shift that was wrong. And that would translate into the way they presented and performed. I have seen this happen in live theater. And it's interesting to me that the girls who are more perceptive on this are the ones that seem to be the most workhorsey, where a lot of the girls that were not seem like the kind that like what they do, they're very particular about what they do, but they're not necessarily show directors. Like Arietti and Lexi and even Jules don't come off like show directors to me. They come off like people who perform and are sickening and love what they do and they're passionate about what they do, but they're not thinking about the mechanics of the show. Where people like Sam come from a big pageant background where you must think about mechanics. Anya seems like someone who's probably a regular host at bars and is probably always keeping the show going. And Susie seems like someone who's probably been that person with the mic and the clipboard yelling at 8-year-olds to go and get in their tree costume. You know what I mean? And I just want to reaffirm that I don't think that Jules was being villainous in any way. I think that the girls that were trying to get the energy to reset were ones who were thinking, we don't want this crap that's happening here to end up on the main stage and then we give a bad show to TV. So we get to the main challenge, which is the roast. You know, I don't have a ton of notes about this because it was a pretty generic run-of-the-mill roast. I liked that it was based off of Drag Race girls. I think that's fun. I think that these particular girls have so much internet clout. They have so much TV presence. They have so many TV storylines. There's a lot to pull off of them. And I feel like we just went to tasteless, baseline, boring, fat joke humor. And going back to the question I asked at the beginning, are fat jokes funny? Because I don't think fat jokes are funny. I don't think they have a lot of humor or intelligence or even empathy. And you know, maybe it's just me being someone who doesn't like to body shame people unless they're really awful, terrible, mean people. And even then, I don't know, I feel like there's other jokes you can make that are at their expense about why they're such awful, terrible people that don't involve calling them my 6,000 pound life. Personally, I liked Anya in like a top 3 kind of a way. And that look with the shoulder spikes was so hot. But I've mentioned before, I think that Anya is getting an underdog edit. Originally, I thought she was getting like an agitator villain edit, but I think that's shifting over to Susie. And I think television-wise, that's who they're gonna give it to. And so I think Anya can't get too many top placements because then it'll put her in a trajectory that they're not editing her for. The edit that I want Anya to have is the one they're giving to Sam. Arietti was by far the worst of the night and did a cardinal sin in comedy, is saying, I'm extremely nervous. I am worried about this. I don't do this. Mistress said it best, yikes. Her at the end saying, go learn the music, baby, was everything. You don't do that in comedy. You don't tell the audience that you're not looking forward to doing the thing you're about to do unless you incorporate that in your sketch. I'm so nervous to do this. I just don't think I can do it because I'm so nice. Candy Muse, I brought you a jar of dirt that you can put in your panties so the crabs can feel at home. And then you just bam, go right into it. Jules got thrown off exactly as Arietti wanted her to. It was good strategy, I think, on Arietti's part, but I did feel bad for sweet little Jules because I didn't think she deserved that. Lana was surprisingly really funny, and I think that this was such a bummer week for her because this could have been her win if her runway was stronger. She was so freaking funny. My note about Sam is that she looked like Pheromone. Down to the halter dress, the boa, it was yellow Farrah. This was a Lowland Farrah. Her set was really short. It was kind of oddly edited because she got 0 time on TV. I did love her bless your heart disease. Great way to tie off the old Southern-ism. Just absolutely gag the room, make everyone gasp. Lydia was also surprisingly funny. I didn't think that she was gonna do good this week. When she started with the panel, I already knew that she was top 3 because we already had 2 bummer rolls and I knew that Lexi wasn't gonna do good. So I was like, okay, so probably nobody else is bottom 3. If she's roasting the panel right now, that's a top 3 edit. And she, I think, got the longest edit of everybody, so I kind of felt like that secured her in the top from the get-go. And she worked me out. I genuinely cackled at all of her jokes. Susie was someone who also got a panel joke, but I felt like all of her jokes were kind of low-key and not terribly hilarious. I thought that the dumb slut with no friends comment towards Lexi was underhanded, backstabby, and rude. She was trying to get a frustration out on the stage, I think, of like, you've disturbed the energy of the show and I don't like it, so I'm gonna stab you. And I feel like that was mean-spirited. I like Susie a lot, and I don't think that she was trying to intentionally be mean. I think she was just frustrated, but this is why I think that Susie is low-key the villain agitator of this season. She's getting the edit. It's so hard with Lexi because you can see when she's struggling hard and when she gets in her head. And this was basically Snatch Game 2.0, except she already used her card of flubbing so bad that it was good in the judge's eyes. And she got a quick and bad edit. Our runway is who wears short shorts. And this honestly felt a little bit like a throwaway runway to me. And kind of an odd category for a villain's roast, but further giggles that Corey was not here because hoochie clothes are very much her brand, and this runway category felt to me, who wears short shorts? In my head, my first thought is like those teeny tiny like Christina shorts where it's like you are seeing lips and you better have gotten a Brazilian before you went on the red carpet in those, with like a bralette and a cape and some chunky hat. I'm thinking that, and I think we got too many conceptual looks, which is not bad, but it didn't really, I don't think I would look at this lineup at all and go, short shorts. That's the runway category. I would have loved so much if this runway category was devil wears ... I think it would have tied in more to the villain thing, and I think it would have been a little more fashionable, and could have been a cool interpretation of the devil in your head and in your canon wears what? What does the devil look like? So I will be ranking these in order by where I thought they landed, and for the umpteenth time, these are my personal decisions. There is going to be someone who's going to type out, much like last week, putting so-and-so in front of this person was a choice. Seeing as how this is my channel, it was indeed my choice. I love hearing y'all's perspectives. I love hearing what y'all want to rank each one of these at. It's just so exhausting. That was a choice. It quite literally is my choice, Barbara. It quite literally is. We have Anya Nerve coming out first in what was a very campy idea, but I don't think her presentation was campy. She walked it like a model. And I think this wedgie idea is so fun because, again, my brain kind of goes into like 90s. 90s was riddled with wedgies. For those of you young kids who didn't grow up in my generation, you'd come up behind somebody and you'd grab their shorts and yank them up into their butt crack. I don't know why we thought that was funny, but fuck if I know, we thought that was hilarious. I didn't really love the iridescent shoes with this, and I thought the bodysuit was a little shiny, but I liked that she sparkled it, so that made me happy. And then this orange hair was gorgeous. I do think it meets the category, it meets the brief. I just think maybe the presentation could have upped it, because it should have looked uncomfortable, like someone who's getting their butt crack flossed. This was number 4 for me. Next is Arietti, who did, I think, probably the most literal interpretation of who wears short shorts. This was super Beyonce coded. This was beautiful. I really do like this shiny fabric, and I think it has the risk of running cheap, but I liked the presentation of it all, and the way that it's been cinched and clipped with these hoops along the side shows a lot of work and craftsmanship that I enjoy. The headpiece is intricate. I love the way that it blends in with the glasses. And she was going for an elven look. It was what I was expecting. I liked the interpretation and I liked that it was filtered through her drag. This was number 1 for me because I think it met the brief the best. Next out is Jules, and I made a little short about this that you can go watch. Michelle immediately said Marie Antoinette, and shiny satin and an updo does not equal Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette would never be caught dead in that neckline. Marie Antoinette is known for a lot of those scoops that come all the way down and show off cleavage and collarbone. This is very Victorian in the way that the neck silhouette is. It's Gibson Girl, honestly. The sleeves, but the corset and these little tiny peplums do not read to me as Parisian or Versailles at all. This doesn't even read that region. It reads UK. It reads Wild West Saloon Girl, which are totally out of the French inspiration of who Marie Antoinette was. I just feel like Michelle is getting the wombo combo of she saw an updo, she saw green and was like, no. For me, I like this look. I really do. I think it's pretty. I love the bows in the hair. I love the big bow on the chest. I love the bows on the side. I love the intricacies of this. Yes, there are lacy short shorts that are underneath. I'm putting my phone down for this. A short runway means the emphasis is on the shorts. That is your focal point. This does not focal point the shorts. It's just an element of it. You know, like when you think chaps on the runway, the idea is chaps. If it's pants on the runway, the idea is pants. Big hair everywhere, the idea is the hair. If your outfit doesn't feature the standout buzzword, it doesn't meet the brief. Love Jules. This was number 8 for me because this did not highlight the shorts. It was just an element that happened to be there, covered up by something else. At the end of the day, this is just a onesie. It's not a separate, and shorts are separates. Next out is Lana Geré. This was such a disappointing week for Lana because I think this was her week. She could have had it. When they showed the side by side, I was even more disappointed because the shorts could have been shorter and sluttier. The colors could have been richer in their saturation and in the textile. Certainly, the coat could have been richer. I think this tank top that she's created, this tank top halter, does not look very high fashion. It looks like remnants of scrap. You know, like the kind that's $1.99 at the fabric store that you grab the bolt remnants of. And then she just put it together to create this. I like what it wanted to be and I liked the concept, especially using Naomi, someone who has influenced her drag. I think that's very lovely as an idea. It just wasn't executed well at all. At least she didn't say this wasn't her runway week. This was number 7 for me. And that's upsetting because I wanted to like it. Next out we have Sam Starr doing what was supposed to be a football inspo. Much like Jules, this is the same problem where the shorts aren't really the highlight. It just happens to be an element of. This is only getting higher marks because I think that it is draggy-er, and there is something very drag about it. It's not just fashionable. My little nitpicky problem is that I don't see this as being football. To me, the shapes of this look more motocross than anything, and that goes into the styling elements of the boots, which go up to the thigh. That's such a weird little nitpicky detail, but that is way more motocross to me. I think the shoulder pads are obviously very football, but then you scroll down and this like corset bra panty combo is definitely not reading football to me. I think the fisting gloves are throwing it off. I think all the star details, which are a great branding element, are throwing it off because it's not coming to sports to me. But who knows, maybe in where is she from? Deep in the heart of Texas? Maybe they have football gear that looks like this, and maybe I just don't understand football because I'm not a sport gay. But it just doesn't read that way to me. Like, if I were to just crop the head, like if I were to crop from here up, I would get football down boots, but then below, it's not that. And I'm talking about this too long. Number 5. Next up is Lydia, and it's the same problem I'm having with a lot of these other looks. The highlight is not the short shorts. The highlight is the guts and the gore. And I love that she's leaning in to this. And this is probably one of my favorite looks of hers. I think it's her brand, it's her stamp, who she is, it's represented well. She said it was supposed to be a chemical peel and the skin is peeling off. Very ooky spooky Dragula. I like that. Again, the problem for me, the highlight is not the shorts. The only thing that's on here are little panties. Panties, bitch. Those aren't shorts to me. Those are panties. And I think it's a cool look, but it's not the brief. I wonder if they got a different runway assignment and then they changed it last minute to short shorts. Because a lot of these are reading more panties to me. Because these just don't make sense for this runway category. Lydia's at number 6 only because it's not the brief. And I went back and forth on, well, Lana did do the brief, but she didn't do it well. Where Lydia didn't do the brief, but she did it good. I don't know, my judging was kind of all over the place here. What's worse and more egregious to me, someone who's doing the prompt but not well, or someone who's not doing the prompt but did it in such a fun and interesting way. Creativity, I guess, is more important, I guess, than execution. Next out is Susie Toot, and y'all are gonna be so mad at me, but I did place this higher because, unlike the other ones, especially I'm gonna point out Jules in particular, this being a historical period piece, this is the prompt. The eye-catching thing is everything, but the shorts are the highlight. This is a lot to me like when Katya did those really chic brown pants in All Stars 2. It's very similar in energy where it was a very crisp, clean look. And it wasn't necessarily like the emphasis was the pants, but the pants were so tailored and crisp that they were in their own way a standout in that look. The upper half was a little bit bigger and a little more loose fitting, where the pants were a little more form fitting. Here in Susie's look, you look at the color gradients of everything from the top down, and it's in this really rich amethyst color, but then below that is this dark plum, and below that is stark white. And what that visually is doing a big arrow on both sides like this, so that the focal point is that plum color right at the hips, right? That's what it's doing for me, at least. And so this reads separates, which is something I critiqued earlier. When you're doing shorts, that to me means separates. And so Susie did that the best by translating it and filtering it through her drag. I'm looking at this again and I'm like, maybe this was better than Ariette's, and maybe I do want to swap them right now. And you know what? And I'm gonna be a crazy girl. I'm switching Ariette and I'm switching Susie. Ariette number 2, Susie number 1. I love that it incorporates her signature makeup. The hair is nice, the colors are rich. It looks like it should be performing on a stage. And a lot of the camp of that was how short those shorts were. And when the prompt is, who wears short shorts? The MC at a show. That's so brilliant. And finally out we have Lexi, and I love distressed garments. I think they're fun. I really do think that they are an important fashion piece, and sometimes distressed can look messy unintentionally. I don't think that this runs into that problem. It looks well fitted, it looks well distressed, it looks intentional. I love how chic it all is. And for me, I think that this was a super strong look. It meets the brief because the shorts are the highlight, and this is one of the few that actually did that. Basically, my top 3 are the ones who I think did the assignment, where everybody else is like, y'all didn't even get near short shorts. And these are short shorts. There's something super 90s about it, where jeans were all the rage. I could have seen maybe like Britney or Christina in this walking on a red carpet. It's hot, it's fashionable, and I liked her presentation. If you're going to take a camp category like short shorts and bring it to the runway, bring it to the 90s. 90s, bring it to the 90s. So we get to deliberation and Anya was safe, which I think was a crime. And in Untucked, we finally get the big explosion of the girls not having it with each other. Ariette and Lexi are upset, and I think it was one of the girls says, oh, she's crying, and Anya says, I don't care. Anya is such a freaking star. I am so obsessed with her. I hope this girl wins to make people mad. She deserves it so hard for being a superstar, and it would get on people's nerves if she did, and I would live for that. And here's the thing, because Anya did get involved in that fight, and something needs to be said about energy vampires that was not said in this episode. When someone is sucking the energy out of a room, sucking, everybody feels that. Everybody is affected by that person. So by Ariette saying, you're not involved, why are you getting involved in this? Like, this is your problem. While I understand what Ariette is saying, this is affecting the room. It is affecting their ability to be professionals and to do their job, because they're thinking, is it gonna suck when I get up there? Am I gonna have to deal with energy from the entire room bringing me down? Am I going to have to hold on even tighter to energy and block out everybody in the room to work more so that y'all don't bring me down? Because that does happen. We have seen time and time again, especially on Drag Race, where one girl messes up the entire energy of the entire room and everybody feels it. Everybody gets thrown off by that. And ultimately everybody does apologize and they're harmonious again, and we resolve this tension between them. Lydia is called as the winner of the challenge, and I'm sure that she's proud. I think it's cool that she won something. I predicted last week that Lydia was gonna get maybe one more week, and I feel like maybe next week is gonna be her out week. It was like she finally got that RuPaul reward, and now I think she's kind of run out of story unless she can pull something out of her hat real quick. And our lip sync song is Ya Ya by Beyonce. We get Ariete and Jules in the bottom together, completing their argument, getting to duke it out, and Drag Race loves doing this. I love seeing it when storylines get resolved during that lip sync battle. I hate that Ariete took her costume off. I think that was a problem. I love Jules doing all of those very seductive slips into the slides and splitting her legs. It was very sexy and hot and cool. And when she slid into those half splits, ooh! And Ariete was hitting the beats well. She was sensual, she was fun, she wasn't too awkward like she's been in the last lip sync. Jules is called as safe, which in my notes I wrote thank God because I'm obsessed with her. I like Ariete, but I've just not been obsessed with the energy that she's been bringing to the episodes. And this guest judge worked me all the way out because when Ariete left and she said, now she decides to be funny. So my prediction for next week is that it's gonna be either Lana or Lydia. I think that both of them have run out of storyline. Lydia finally got the thing that she wanted, which was to get a challenge win. Lana really wants a win, but I don't see them giving her one. I see next week, which is an acting challenge being something that Susie is going to excel in. I think that this could be Lexi's week. I always cringe a little bit preemptively at acting challenges because they've been so badly written for the last several years. I don't have expectations that are to the moon because we all saw RDR live and how not funny that was. I think that Anya is gonna do great, but I don't think they're gonna give her another win until maybe like the makeover challenge. That'll be Anya's win week, I feel like, because they can't give her too many if she is not set up to be the front runner like Susie and Sam are clearly on that trajectory of. Anya's clearly, in my opinion, being set up as this underdog character who got really close to winning but didn't quite, was doing good, and then at the last minute will win the whole thing is what I'm predicting right now, just based off of what we're seeing from the edit. I could be way off base, but that's just what I'm predicting now. Like, I feel like it's going to be so close between the two of them, and a big storyline will be RDR and how they were both so good and how it could have gone either way. And this week it'll go to Susie again, creating more tension, creating more of that kind of villain role that they're really sculpting and shaping for her right now. But we shall see. Let me know what you thought in the comments below about this episode, and I will see y'all on the flip.